How are you doing today? Great to have you right here. So this is should we call this offshoot of the series I started in the beginning of November that had to do with starting 2023 smarter. So tonight's conversation it's around going global with your skills, and I'm honored to have a foremost voice, the co-founder of Vesti, right? Mr. Olusola Amusa, to share with us how to go global, with your skill in 2023. So this is a conversation that is still ongoing, and I'm still going to be having some powerful guests, before the end of the year and of course in January. So we want to go straight right into the conversation as I invite the co-founder of Vesti, right? If you have questions, get ready to ask them, and then use the question box so that we can take your questions, and then we can demystify all the myths, the misconceptions about immigration. I really don't want to use the word japa because it sounds like an escape, movement. Locate, and then the right way to do it, the right mindsets, and then the right approach towards this. Great day, sir. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you? How's it going?
Doing awesome. Doing awesome. Thank you for joining me on this conversation.
Totally my pleasure. Totally my pleasure. I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you clearly. I hope there are no echoes. So I already introduced you. Oh, okay. So I already introduced you, and then I want us to just jump right into it. Can you quickly just tell us, what you do, what Vesti is all about, for my audience who don't really know you, so they will understand it. So I'll just mute my mic just to play safe and to avoid the echoes. Yes. So you just have like 5 minutes, then I'll come back.
Absolutely. I mean, I always get a little cringy when folks say like I should try to introduce myself, but let's give it a shot, right? My name is Olusola Amusa. I'm co-founder and CEO at Vesti. Vesti is the world's first platform for immigrants to be able to get access to financial services. We basically set up our platform to provide tailored assistance, community financial services for neo-humans that are going global. So my work has been around intersection of technology skills and human capital mobility. So I'm super excited to be talking to you guys today. Please feel free, check me out on Wikipedia, on Google, or anywhere else. Just do a random search and just see. I mean, my bio is all over the internet. And it's really exciting to be here today to be able to share this time with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
What happens? Oh, okay. Thank you so much. So I want to quickly talk about, the misconceptions people have, especially in Nigeria. One of the common thing that happens is, people don't talk about traveling. Maybe it's just a week to when they are leaving. That's when you hear that, oh, I'm traveling. So people don't like talking about it, maybe because of the kind of history we have in, Nigeria or Africa, that maybe somebody is going to miraculously stop your traveling and things like that. And then people have this mindset that, oh, I mean, we get feedbacks. It's really hard when you travel, say to the UK, to the US or to Canada, that people don't usually know what they are getting into until they get there. So I wanted to just quickly touch on some of these misconceptions and, the misunderstandings that people have about travel.
Well, first, let me start by saying that, humans are naturally, by nature, humans are nomadic. So as humans, we are actually been designed to desire to go elsewhere, especially as it relates to our survival. So think about all the theories of evolution, there's always been migration of humans, migration of people from one place to the other. So if the climate of a place, now let's talk about climate in terms of natural terms. If the weather and climate of a place isn't suiting for you, you can basically decide to move to another place. So our forefathers who are hunter-gatherers basically moved from one place to the other based on, what worked for them. if the fruits that are being gathered in this particular area is not available for this season, they will naturally migrate to another place and basically get it done. So think about it. That's exactly what's going on today. If the economic and socio-economic climate of a place is not suiting for you, what you should be able to do as a human is to migrate, whether temporarily or permanently. It is your choice. If you feel that there are competitive advantages like education, better social security, healthcare that are provided in certain climes that are not provided in the climate that you are, and you don't have direct control to be able to make it happen where you are, then it's naturally okay for you to desire better education elsewhere, better healthcare elsewhere, and all of that. Like, if you feel like you're part of the building blocks of where you are and you have the capacity to be able to make a change, you're a lawmaker or an aspiring lawmaker, or you're someone in government, or you actually hold the fiber to maybe commerce for that particular country where you are, you might not see the need to go anywhere. But if you're someone who essentially maybe is trying to get more political power, more economic power, more social power, more, whatever it is, like, you can decide to choose to move somewhere else. So I've never seen traveling as a problem or moving abroad as an issue. I actually believe that it's part of the human experience. Like, if you're someone who studies human, experience, anthropology, you would realize that moving around is just part of our nature. And that's why we've decided to position ourselves as a company that provides information for people before they think about emigrating, after they've emigrated, and even when they get to the destination of choice eventually. So that's part of what we try to do. I want to be sure my audio is still good, my AirPods are out of juice. Single person must be aware that it is a, number one, it's a human imperative, it's part of human behavior, and our company has been positioned to be able to provide services for people from when they think about migrating, when they have migrated, and every minute thereafter, because people need information about what's going to happen to them when they get there, what do they need to do after they get there. My first voyage, or my first adventure into this, was providing critical skills that are transferable through a company called CoFounder Labs, which I founded about 4 years ago. And the goal was to train as many people as possible on key technology skills that are usable in the US, in the UK, in Canada, and anywhere else that people go to. So that was really like my first voyage. And we trained thousands of people. Many of these guys are using those skills either remotely or in the new locations that they have found themselves today. Now, with what we're doing investing now, we're going beyond just that one single technology skill. We're now beginning to design pathways for people. And that pathway is, okay, how do I, if I wanted to move to Canada or Australia or the United States or the United Kingdom, how do I get there? What are the key things I need to do to be able to get there? When I get there, what am I going to do for work? What are the dignifying visa types that I need to take on? If I get there and there are barriers to my prosperity, how do I surmount them? That's why we started creating a series of financial products, cards, credit cards, debit cards, bank accounts that would help people to be able to migrate and become prosperous everywhere they migrate to. So we like to call Vesti the power to move. It's essentially the power to move. So anybody who hasn't downloaded the Vesti app right now needs to go to the App Store, iOS and Android store, to download it. It's a wallet and also a pathway tool that helps you and guides you through your migration process. In there, you can find jobs, you can find scholarships, you can find a lot of helpful articles and videos that we have made that can help people get access to migration services. So we are playing to the whims and caprices of humans who naturally, by virtue of their making, do not stay in one place. Since the 70s, 80s, the migration to the UK has been there. It's not today. People didn't start moving today. It's becoming more obvious because of social media, Twitter, Facebook, all the tools and services. And because Gen Z, we're naturally expressive, right? Gen Zs and millennials are naturally expressive. So it's becoming a lot more popular, and that's really why you're seeing a lot more conversations going on about this. And people have even, termed it as Jackpot and all of that. Some people will move permanently. There are some people that are so pissed with the socioeconomic condition. Never blame them. And there are some other people who moving abroad is just a means to an end. It is part of an overall goal that they are period of time. Some will go for to get a job for a period of time to enhance their career so they can come back to Nigeria as expats. Some of them would basically start in a country and end up in another. So it's really, and I'm excited about people I see Noskafi Hub and some other people that are here. I'm excited about all of these amazing immigrants who are showing people how it can be done, who have become experts, who have become, engineers who have become doctors, nurses, contributing to the healthcare systems of the countries that they have now found themselves, and showing other people that there is a way to do it. And our company is here to provide that kind of soft landing that is needed for any immigrants. But before you even talk about soft landing, you see us in NYSC camps, you see us in colleges and universities. What are we trying to do? We're trying to show people that, number one, immigration should be a human right. We're trying to show people that you can plan for immigration. We're trying to show people that scholarships, visa sponsorships, internships with global firms are all pathways that are scarcely talked about and that can get somebody the opportunity to actually move to a new country without stress.
Awesome. Thank you so much for expanding so much on that. So I wanted to quickly talk about the skill part. Yeah. So let me give you a scenario for someone that is, say the person is into sales or into marketing, and the person is working right here and is thinking of, migrating or relocating next year. What would be your best advice? So let's say the person is choosing UK, for example. I think UK is the popular one, or Canada or US. But let's just start with UK. What are the things the person can do, and how can the person get you on board, to work with you or work with Vesti or Covin Labs,
Yeah. So you intentionally said sales and marketing for a reason, or you just use that as is that hypothetical, or you want me to specifically talk on sales and marketing?
No, it could be any skill. It could be any skill.
So first of all, you are best. So let's establish this for everybody. You are better when you are skilled. So if any new country that is looking for, you understand the intention of these countries. They're actually looking for the most skilled people, the most viral young people to come into their countries. So let's establish that. So Tayo has told you now that sales and marketing, it could be finance, it could be education, it could be technology, whatever skills you have. What we always tell people is, first of all, download the Vesti app, create a profile. It will ask you to create your KYC as if you are setting up a banking app. Yes, it is a banking app because it's both an immigration and a banking app. So set up all of that profile. Then you will see a symbol on your home page with the symbol of a plane, an aeroplane. Click on it. It's called Pathways. When you get on the pathways, you have to choose the country that you want. So we featured about 10 countries. So let's say you choose the United Kingdom, you will see the visa types that are available for the United Kingdom. All right. Also within the app, you can chat with a representative on our app. You can message that person, and then they will be able to tell you, just set up, this is the country you are trying to move to. These are the skills you have, and they will assign you to an analyst on our team that is going to help you. So essentially, for someone who is moving to the UK, there are some pathways we can discuss on this, Instagram Live, as we are right now. One of the most popular pathways is the education pathway. The United Kingdom government makes a lot of money from education every year. So it sort of makes sense for them to be very, very big advocates of education. Now, I wanted to remove all of those things you've been hearing in the media recently about, Nigerians are the most people with the highest amount of chain migration who bring our families to do it. Don't worry. Those are all conversations that will continue to happen in those countries. But what really matters for education, this past year alone, because of the new education policies and the fact that the UK is extending 2 additional years of work permits to people who have studied in the UK, 503,000 people or thereabouts moved to the United Kingdom just in 2022 alone, and that blew their mind. Nearly 500,000 people. If they continue like that for the next 10 years, there's going to be 5 million immigrants arriving in their country, right? And this is a good thing because this is a country that already has issues with labor shortages, that has issues with deficits in terms of working class people. So know that education is a sure path, and there are many schools in the UK that are offering people scholarships to come. If you have a 2-1, there are many schools that will tell you, you don't have to pay. They will give you a £3,000 discount. If you have 2-2, they might tell you they will give you a £1,500 discount. You need to find some of these schools. Some of them are not necessarily in London. So don't be looking for schools only in London or in any of the major cities. You can go to Hertfordshire, you can go to Wales, you can go to other parts of the country or of the United Kingdom, including Scotland. So think about it that way. Your goal is to migrate via education. So you shouldn't be super choosy about, I want to go to Oxford, I want to go to, any of these other schools. Am I saying that you shouldn't choose, states or country or universities that are remarkable? That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if you're not someone who is a scholar by default, or someone who is being sponsored by an organization that can pay £80,000, I beg, just look for a school, maybe Hertfordshire. Coventry is even very prestigious too. Look for a school that just gives you the pathway to get into the UK. The debates going on about, oh, maybe prestigious schools are the only ones that will be able to sponsor students. Forget about it. It won't happen. The UK makes a lot of money on education, and it will only be debates in their House of Commons. It will never get to like limelight. I can tell you that for sure. Except things change with the way they are looking at labor shortages. So, shortlist some schools. You will see some articles in our app that shows you 10 schools in the UK and their costs. Check our social media, follow Adversity Official. Check our previous reels. You will see specific reels that we have done on schools that you can go to in the United Kingdom. All right, that will not cost you much. Once you decide the school, I usually tell people apply to 3 to 4 schools. People will tell me things like, oh, don't you know the application fees are expensive? Just make up your mind that you want to spend the next 80 pounds on 3 schools. Apply to those schools, and once you apply to those schools, begin to work on their process. Now, 2 to 3 schools out of the schools you've applied to should be able to give you admission. When they do, you can compare the admission. Which one is giving me more, which was giving me more discounts? Which was giving me a scholarship? Which one has the opportunity to give me the better course? So you check it vis-a-vis one another. What I notice about people trying to go abroad with education is that they choose only one school. And if that one school disappoints them or tells them to go and look for £6,500 deposits, then you see that they can't go on anymore. But if you apply to multiple schools, what that is doing for you is it allows you to be able to combine offers. And this is not just for the UK, this is also for the US and for the other countries as well. Now, if all of this is too complex for you to process, we have a service in our program called Education Pathway. It's a concierge service. It's a white glove service where our team members actually help you through the process of selecting a school, through the process of filling your forms. And all you just have to do is pay a fraction of the amount you will normally pay to all these malicious agents out there, and you pay it, and then the team can help you with that process. At the end of the day, what matters is that you arrive in the United Kingdom and you can start your program. I also want to use this opportunity to call out everything going on around people, doing arrangee spouse for UK schools. I want to encourage you as much as possible. People may have offered you, oh, I can marry you and I will pay, and you will bring me in as your family member. I do not encourage it, and as an organization, we don't encourage it. The reason why we don't encourage it is because, number one, it is illegal. It is not in line with what the UK government has prescribed. So if you're not married, don't post that you're married so that you can take dependents to the US. People are even marrying their siblings, doing all of that. They will latch on to it very quickly. And once they do, you will not only spoil the chance of the future generation, but you would end up like spoiling your own name, and it might be difficult to regularize. This is why people get to the UK and say they are stuck for life. Why? Because they didn't follow all the counsel and the advice that they are supposed to follow. So a protege of mine came to me and said, somebody said they are going to pay for my tuition. She's a lady and they're going to marry me. And I told her, I said, look, you know what? Wait for your time. Do your own program. Do your own. You can find schools where you don't need to pay more than £1,000, £2,000, and you can do your own admission. Rather than getting a 10-year ban that will now stop you from going to the UK entirely. So this is it. For the UK, the process is simple, and the pathway is there inside our app that basically shows you the breakdown of how to get into a UK school, how to get a UK Tech Nation sponsored, if it's Tech Nation you want to do. Tech Nation is a special talent, visa for people who are software engineers, developers, on tech entrepreneurs, or people who have contributed immensely to the technology ecosystem. All right. So it's difficult to just like go through all of the different pathways that are possible in the United Kingdom, but all this we have elucidated through one aspect or the other. And if there is one I didn't mention and you want to learn more about, all you need to do is go into the app and basically do a chat with any of our team members. You can also chat with them on Instagram, to just find out, and they will ask you to send an email so that you can start a proper email thread, on this particular conversation. All right. I don't know if I answered that question or I covered that very well.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Very, very well. I mean, very, very comprehensive. So I'll just go to the last, I think the last part that I wanted to talk about is, so there are misconceptions. Basically, these are the things I just want to clarify, because we can't have all the conversations here. The best thing is to just download the Vesti. I also have the app. and then it's very, very easy to use the app. So there's this talk about, oh, okay, it is easy to enter UK, and then it's difficult, to stay in there, or it is harder to enter into the US or Canada, but it's easy for you to settle in there. So I don't know is that true?
Well,
and then what's your advice?
Right? If your goal is quickness to get a passport, Canada is better, but their economy is not half as good as the United Kingdom. You can take this anywhere for anybody. We process all of it as an organization. But we tell people if you are looking for somewhere that is just easy for you to get a blue passport, which is the Canadian passport, if that's what you want, it's fine. It's totally okay. Like Canada would be a good place for you to go. But Canada has been designed to be good for only a certain set of people in terms of like getting into Canada. I tell people the express entry process, for example, is designed for a certain set of people. A perfect profile for somebody who is going to Canada through express entry is that you are 28 years old, you are married, you have a good job that you have worked on for about 3 to 4 years, you understand English enough, or you have a good background to be able to score 8 in IELTS, and you have 7 million naira, which is about 9 million now. You have 9 million naira as proof of funds. Now, the people that fit into this thing I just described, Tayo, they are very few. You are 28, you are married. Let me go over it again. You are 28 and married. All right. You and your spouse have good enough background to be able to score at least 8.0 in IELTS, which is a technical test. You have worked at least 3 to 4 years. That means you graduated 22 or 23 and you got a great job, and then you were able to do that. And then secondly, you guys have enough money, as about 9 million naira, to be able to do proof of funds. So it already cuts a lot of people. Now, anybody watching me now who knows too much about Canada will say, Shola, that's not true. You are right to some extent, because there are people who are 32, 33 that they have gotten it, 35 that have gotten it. I'm just trying to tell you that is the ideal profile Canada is looking for. That is what can score 474, 480 in their comprehensive ranking system. So what does that mean? It means that it cuts out a lot of people, because we are in an economy where, for you to be 28, have 9 million naira somewhere, be married, be able to pass English. Usually you have one and not the other. Before you have 9 million saved, you are probably 37. If you have a bad background, it's difficult. You write IELTS so many times, you'll be frustrated. You might be 37 and you're not married, or you have a wife that can't pass IELTS. So all of those things, they've designed it. And you know why they did that? They basically looked at what they need in their economy. And it is what they need in their economy that they used to be able to attract people. So what they need in their economy is they need viral young people who can speak English or French. So it's either English or TEF, but Nigerians don't even bother to go and learn French. We have a French partner that has taught people who are above a certain age, and that helps them to be able to get better scores. So back to what Canada is looking for. They're looking for viral young people to join their economy who can speak either English or French fluently, or at least understand the technicalities of it, have good money that will be able to survive for the next 6 months, before they're able to get a job, and are okay enough with how laid back, Canada can be in terms of the economy. It's not a very capitalist economy. They're just trying to be capitalist, and also it's okay with the weather. So that's about Canada. That's an analysis of Canada. When we analyze the United Kingdom is obviously looking for people. Now, when you hear from people who say it's difficult to stay in the UK, first of all, there are people who started their process within the last 10 years. Secondly, who didn't do a proper analysis of their skill sets. So within the last 3 years, with the UK adding 2 more years to education and allowing you to be able to find sponsors easily. Finding sponsors in the UK is not as difficult as it used to be, because they've reduced the barrier for companies that can sponsor. There are lots of healthcare opportunities, technology opportunities, but if you don't have the right skill set, you can't stay back. So some of the people who have perpetrated this information, there are people who either do not have the right skill set, or people who are not even as educated as you, I'm sorry to say, who are, peddling the rumors. Like, truth be told, like, for a long time in the UK, they did not need people of a certain skill set. So it was difficult for you to get sponsored as a restaurant worker. So some of these guys are actually doing many jobs and saying that it's difficult to stay in the UK. And that's the truth, because their policing is really, really effective and all of that. So you want to be super careful. However, today, with the shortage of drivers, they themselves have introduced visa types that can even sponsor drivers. So you will begin to see that even restaurant workers, drivers, all of those other essential workers will begin to get attention now. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that's how things will begin to work. So the UK will become more attractive to people over the next couple of years as time goes on. But what I want people like you, who are knowledge workers, to continue to do is to remind people that some of the people who peddle these rumors are not as skilled as them. They don't have PMP. They haven't done, your courses. They haven't learned how to do digital marketing. So you can't compare. If people carry those kind of skills to the UK, there are tons of companies there that are looking for people who have that skill set. And like the US has recognized, the UK will begin to recognize the role of immigrants in transforming their economy. So I hope this helps, because this conversation we're having is really on a macro scale, if you think about it. Like, it's not for the guy who's trying to move today. It's for the guy who wants to understand what the landscape of immigration will be for these countries over a period of time. So truly, the journey to citizenship in the UK is a little longer than Canada, but it's around the same length as the US. But it's not being marketed as the way it should be. For the US as well, you will spend most times 4 years and 9 months if you don't join the military from green card to transit to citizenship. For Canada, they've reduced it to about 3 years, right? Especially if you are not going in and out. So the United Kingdom as well, once you go from students, you get your BRP, you work, which is basically an acronym for your postgraduate work permit. You get your postgraduate work permit, you can do it for another 2 years. You can basically get sponsored, for an indefinite stay, by another organization. And once you get indefinite stay, it's just a couple of years counting to citizenship.
Thank you so much. I think you've done big justice to this. Thank you so much. So, the goal for me basically is to just sensitize people with this conversation. I know a lot of people know, oh, this is what I should do, this is what I can do, this is what I can do. But I really wanted to address this misconception. That is why I had to talk about this, And I think I'll round this off with, your advice to people that, there's JAPA now. The JAPA sounds like an escape movement. There are a lot of things happening in the nation right now. The cost of living has gone higher. Fuel has gone up, food cost and all of that. So people that have that jackpot, mindset, they just want to live by all means, and they are not planning well. What is your advice to them? Or what are the right things they should start working on? Because I understand that these things, you have to plan it. People usually plan to travel, to relocate over a year, and they work on these things. So that would be the last thing we'll talk about before I let you go.
So one interesting thing, and my own mindset about this is, I don't want us to build such a castle around the importance of planning. Planning is important in every phase of life. So it's not because it's migration that planning is important. If you want to, take on a new course now, you should plan. If you want to go to work, you should plan, whatever it is. However, there is an energy for the neo-human. The neo-human is a Gen Z who is energetic about the concept of traveling. And that particular energy isn't something that should be discouraged. If you think about the way a European who is just 19, 20 and now ready to see the world, if you think about how they pack their bags and just go around Europe, we should encourage those kind of things. Intra-Africa, we should encourage that people don't necessarily need to plan before they choose to go and live in Rwanda. People should carry their bags and go and live. Don't forget, this is when they are young and they can afford to make those mistakes. But if you are 36, you are nearing midlife, and you don't know that you should plan before you carry your bag, sell everything, and go to the UK, then the issue with you is not really about migration. It's just there's something fundamentally wrong. Because generally, you should understand the risk of how to take care of a woman, your kids, all of those kind of things. But I'm saying this way. I decided to approach this way because there might be a 20-year-old who is listening to us right now who shouldn't take 3 years to plan to go and live 4 months in South Africa, or to plan to go and do a 1-year master's in the UK. It changes their worldview. Whether they choose to come back or whether they decide to begin to pursue their livelihood there shouldn't be a problem. But if you are somebody like my age and your age, Tayo, and you have a family, you have a wife, you have children, you do all of that, you want to really sit down and look at what is the comparative analysis of where I'm going compared to where I am. Am I able to get, for the same skill set that I have, 5 times, 10 times the salary? Am I able to get better social security, better health care? Are my kids going to get better education? When you found your decisions on top of this, then it goes beyond just trying to jackpot. You are literally choosing a better climb for yourself. Now, when I get there, would there be pains of migration and uprooting myself? Certainly, yes, there will be. What do I need to do to be able to avert some of those pains? What am I willing to accept when I get to this new country? So these are all kinds of things that need to go into the planning and discussion. And that's why we created the pathway tool on Vesti. If you go into that tool, you're able to see the steps that are needed for you to get there. And very soon we're adding things like memos, things like adding friends that can support you, support structure, being able to identify and map who will be responsible for this, who will be responsible for that, opportunities to buy a house, what do you need to do to finance a car, what is the cost of healthcare, what is the cost of childcare. All of those things are things we're adding to pathways in the new year, which is why I say people should go on and download the app. So planning is overrated for the Gen Z. Planning is overrated for the energetic, Gen Z. Millennials are already above 30 now. So the millennial needs to sit down and look at what is ahead of him, what he needs to do. But I also try to encourage people, overthinking will not help anybody. No matter how much you think you can gather, when you get to that country, you realize it will finish in a couple of months. But what that will do for you is at least it will help you have a soft landing. So if you are somebody who is still waiting for, let me gather it, let everything be complete, that may also be a wrong approach. What you just need to know is, when I leave, and I also tell people this, when you leave Nigeria, don't cancel all your means of livelihood. Just find out which ones can still be done while you are remote, because these are things you will use to support yourself within the first year of arriving in a new country. Which is why selling, I'll give you an example of a brother of mine who decided to give somebody his camera because he's a cameraman and he didn't carry that camera. He would have carried that camera and use that to start up when he gets here. Or leave that camera in Nigeria and be renting it out to people who want to do the work and be making the money. So don't savor everything that is your livelihood in Nigeria. Don't necessarily sell everything, except it's like super important as a way to be able to get yourself out here. Some people can sell it to be able to get money to buy their flight tickets. That's fine. But I'm saying that if you can, don't savor your means of livelihood, because these are the things that will help you stabilize when you get to a new country as well. So this is very important.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olusola. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving us the right direction or the right mindset to these things. And I believe that there are a lot of people that they've learned something or they've picked something from what we've discussed. So I'm going to be wrapping this up. I believe for people that want to learn more, the best thing is to just go to the Vesti app and then download it. Or they could just send you a DM, or send me a DM for more details, and I can just direct them to the app and download it, So I think that would be it. I don't know if you have any last word for us or something that you wanted to talk to us about that you missed out, or maybe I didn't ask the question.
No, absolutely. Lots of starting live sessions with Jimmy Tewe. I've done some sessions with Miss Multipreneur. These are all things that people should watch and sort of listen again. If you get on the Vesti web app and mobile app as well, there are videos that we have made, existing webinars, 1 hour long webinars that we made available that are free on education, or just spend some time as you are driving through Lagos traffic, listening to them, and make decisions based off of them. The other thing I think we should say is that there's a Telegram group that we have. You can access it through the app, and you can also access it if you DM somebody on our Vesti Instagram page. Join that Telegram group, ask questions there, read some of the pinned messages, and you can make some of these decisions. If things are getting very, very, Mr. Sako, I see you, nice to see you. If there are other questions you want to ask around, your own specific scenario, I've been rejected a visa before, I have a family of 4, I have this skill set, my spouse is in the US and we're trying to join him, my sibling already filed something for me, and you need specific guidance on any of these things, please feel free to write us an email. My own personal email is olu@wevesti.com. All right. You can mention that you watch this particular webinar so that I will be able to know that you're coming from Tayo. And basically all we need to do is we would set up a clarity session for you. It's usually a paid clarity session where you'll be talking to a lawyer about your case, and they will be able to help you through that particular peculiar situation. But I am making a major shout out to our Education Pathways team. There are many of their students who have arrived in the US, Canada, the UK this year. So if you want to be part of that, join the Education Pathway program. It's only for the fraction of the amount that other organizations will charge. All these Marauda agents sometimes charge 1 million to help you. It's just about 200,000 naira, and they will guide you through the entire process, and you would be one of the people arriving in the UK sometimes this time next year, or arriving in the US sometimes during summer next year, and it's never too early to start planning this. Don't forget to download the Vesti app. Don't forget that we are also a company that is trying to reinvent and make things better. So if you have any specific challenge, suggestions, or how we can make the app better, make sure you also send me an email. I will be more than happy to support you. Thank you guys for having me today.
Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the time. Yes, sir. Have a great day. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you. I see everybody, thank you so much. Just reach out to Mr. Olusola, or reach out to me for any further clarity. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.